But I did watch some of the rather demonic videos, and they're pretty freaking, like, I wouldn't want my kids at that concert.
No.
So why are we doing this for the Super Bowl?
Do you know that my 23-year-old daughter, Quinn, who again, they all love them some Dave Rubin,
Yeah.
she's like, Mom, I actually stopped listening to Bad Bunny's music because of the lyrics and because of the demonic performances that he puts on. He doesn't even try to hide it. So I thought that was fascinating. And she's like, Mom, where have you been? Like, I stopped doing this a long time ago. And then she went through her list of many other people in Hollywood who are doing the same things in their performances, including, in her opinion, and many others, Taylor Swift and some of the things that are very suggestive on those stages. But let's remember the demographic of the Super Bowl, which is what? Probably, I mean, it's a wide age gap, like 8 to 54 men, whatever. But this is an American sport. This is not football, soccer.
Right.
So we have a man who is Hispanic. He's Puerto Rican. He is anti-ICE. He's anti-Trump. He says, I will never perform again in North America because of their immigration policies. He dresses in drag as a woman, all the above. Like, there is nothing that anyone in that demographic can identify with their choice. I love that music. Actual friends. Hello, Dave Rubin.
What up, Steele?
What up? We're waiting for one Russell Brand. He might be coming to us from an automobile somewhere up in the Redneck Riviera. We shall see. But either way, I feel like the news has been nonstop, really, since we started this show, but especially in the last couple of weeks. So we're going to go all over the place. And you are the boss, and you say, I go first. Do you still trust me with that?
If I'm the boss, we're in a lot of trouble. But before we do anything, first off, I think we could alternately call this show Waiting for Russell Brand. That would just be like an alternate. He definitely did a movie at some point called Waiting for Russell Brand or something like that. But, when we had Dr. Drew on last week, I was thinking something at the end because I had Dr. Drew kind of, running around my head for the rest of the day. In some ways, this show could be called creator therapy or something like that, because at the end of the show, I always feel like a lot of the stuff that I had to just kind of get out of my system with people that I love, but get it and do something similar. Like there's something cathartic about it because, we talk about the news and all that stuff, but it's more just like us trying to all work through it in a little bit of a different way than maybe we can on our normal shows. So it's either Waiting for Russell Brand, Actual Friends, or Creator Therapy. Maybe we could just change the title every week.
We need to work on a title then, a complete switch through then. Absolutely. But I left last week's show with you and Dr. Drew. My head was spinning and mind turning as well because of you guys make me think. You make me think of things differently. And that is the importance of this show, because I think we agree on most of the important issues that are happening in the world today, but we come to it in different ways through different experiences, and I love it. But damn, Dr. Drew made me think of all kinds of things last week.
That guy, look, he's been in this fight forever. He did it from the mainstream side. You know that the first ever TV show I did was Dr. Drew?
The first ever?
The first ever TV show I did was Dr. Drew on HLN, probably about 2014, something like that. You were already a well-seasoned TV veteran at that point. I was doing online stuff, but it was the first network television thing. And you'll love this. He was doing really the first, before everybody was on Zoom doing what we do now. Yeah. His show was the first where they put everybody in the different boxes, or one of the first where they did that. Yeah. So, he'd have 5 guests plus him, 6 boxes. It was crazy. But the really craziest thing about it was that while we're all doing this, and you're now in Fort Lauderdale and everyone can see that beautiful view you've got there, and I'm in Miami and Russell does it from the other side of Florida, and most people do it from their home office, home studio now. They would bring all of the talent to the studio in LA. We would all say hi to each other in a green room, and then we'd go into little booths and then start yelling at each other. And then we'd walk out of the booth. So it was such, I could not believe what theater it was, because, you're basically sitting with these people, having a cup of coffee. You go into your box, you scream at them, and then you walk back out, and then you say hi again. So television, what can I tell you?
Who knew, right, that it would evolve into this? And so in many ways, hey, a lot of good has come from that COVID era, certainly. But also, no wonder you're so good at crushing people like little Sisson on Piers Morgan, because you've been doing this for 10, 12 years.
Yes, we are old veterans at this point, you
Wily,
know?
some of us older than others, yes.
Wily. Well, look, Sage, you do have a couple years on me, but not only is it obviously true that black don't crack, you've got the fingernails of a 16-year-old. So what's going on over there?
I know, it's very childish. Listen, I've had to finally get rid of the bubblegum pink wedding nail color, because I'm married. He's stuck with me now. I guess I don't have to care, actually. I can stop doing manis and petties and, I don't think it's bad. Like, it's fine. He's so
Hmm. Not sure. I'm not sure Dave would be that thrilled with that. I'll take that offline with him.
probably not. No. But hey, when I'm in Florida, I feel sassy, Rubin. Come on, listen. I have your tequila over there on the counter. Let me remind everybody.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys sell out? Did you sell out?
We did sell out. We just restocked this week, but you have from the original batch. Yes, and there's more where that came from, my friend.
Look how pretty this is. I mean, that and it matches the blue of the ocean next to me. I mean, heaven, I've made it.
I mean,
Okay.
come on, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, Steele. What are you doing over there?
If this show gets too deep, I'm ready. Okay, I think
All
Russell
right.
is going to join us at some point.
Okay.
And make his big dramatic entrance. In the meantime, I was really inspired by the first story I want to get to today. I was inspired earlier this week when Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth kind of just dropped the hammer on his expectations for what the United States military should look like. First and foremost, no more wokeness. Get out of that, whether you're talking about climate change or just what's happening here every single day. So, like stop. Let's be smart. And secondly, how he feels like our leadership and the soldiers should be carrying themselves, especially physically. Take a look.
Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense. And core to who we are and what we do, it should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%.
I love it. Praise God. I mean, give me a break. I wrote down a couple of things. First of all, common sense, which is what Donald Trump ran on here. But secondly, getting at the physical aspect back up to the highest male standard. It doesn't mean women aren't invited or included. We just know that men and women's bodies are different, and there are certain things that women cannot do that men can, right? Follow the science. It's really that simple. I asked my dad about this, and you've met my dad. The
Yeah.
whole Steele family loves you basically more than they love me at this point, literally. But you met my dad.
You gotta, I said it last week, but you have such a freaking great family. It's just so obvious and real and
Thank you. I am so blessed. I do. I have the best family, the best parents. And I asked my dad about this. I get his opinion on so many things. I was like, Dad, what about this? And he, tries to just be very stoic and professional. And he's like, it's about damn time. Like, where have we gone? My dad, for context, is 79 years old, a 1970 graduate of West Point, broke the color barrier there as the first Black football player ever, varsity football player. And again, there's always been standards in the U.S. Army and all of the branches. And for some reason, I think we know some reasons why, it has gone south. So I absolutely love this. And now that, look, to my left, come here, husband. Dave, you know my Dave. And Dave, my Dave, was Army officer for
there you go.
for 7 years, did a tour in Iraq, has seen it all and done it. And I'm sorry, ad lib here. Your perspective is a lot more important than mine as to why this is so basic and so crucial.
Yeah, I mean, the job of the U.S. military is not to be a social experiment. It's to close with, destroy the enemy, our country's enemies. And so I think, our enemies don't care about DEI or any sort of, gender identities. All they care about is, trying to kill us and make our lives, awful. And so, I think he's on to something. There's probably some different ways I would have said some of the things that he said, but at the end of the day, I think the message is clear, and it is about time. I have a lot of friends that are still in the military. They feel strongly about this. They want to lead soldiers that can go out and kill bad guys, because that's what they're hired to do. And we'll see where it goes.
Well, I love, Dave, that you just said it's not supposed to be a social experiment, because that's what we've been subjected to for the last couple of years. And you guys both come from military families, so your families have been directly affected by it. But the entire country gets affected by it when you see people that are obese or are dressed in the wrong clothes, or however you want to word that, or just the series of things where people are getting promotions because of skin color and all these other things. And it's like, okay, maybe you can do that in certain institutions and it can kind of work for a while. You could kind of fake it. But to your point, Dave, the military, probably not. And I do have to say, Hegseth, when he got nominated to be at that time, what was the Department of Defense, now the Department of War, the thing that I kept saying about him was, remember, they were really going after him. Everybody the media really wanted him taken out. And they went with these bullshit stories about him being an alcoholic and all, which I have a funny story about, I'll tell you in a sec. But they were really trying to take him out. And I kept saying the reason they were trying to take him out, there were two reasons. And I think we just saw the second one really powerfully. He had a great resume. He has a great resume to have the job, having served. But it's what we just saw right there. The guy looks the part. He can speak. He knows how to communicate. He is TV ready. He's camera ready. He's clear. He can read off the prompter. And that's what you need. You need someone with the resume, and then someone with the ability to get it all across to the people. And I think he is quite literally the perfect person for the job. I was completely inspired by the entire speech. And I'll just tell you one quick thing on the Pete was an alcoholic side of this. About 2 years ago, Sage, you've been there a million times, the main Fox building in Midtown, New York City. I did a bunch of Fox hits, and then usually at the end, Del Frisco's great steak joint is right next door. I usually go to Del Frisco's for a steak. And I went one night, I was with a couple of friends, and I saw Pete, and he was sitting alone at the bar upstairs. And I walked up to him, and you know me, I've got my tequila, and I walked up to him and we chatted for a few minutes. I said, Pete, let me get you a drink. He's like, no, I'm not. Thanks, Dave. I'm not drinking tonight. I thought, that's not an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Like, that's not when they were all, this was before they were breaking the stories of him being an alcoholic. But I was just like, an alcoholic doesn't sit at the bar and not have a drink. And then when someone offers to buy them a drink, also doesn't have a drink. So it's all nonsense. It's so great to see them cleaning this stuff up.
I think, Dave, your point's important, which is, I don't know that we've had a Secretary of Defense before him that can speak to troops and relate to them in a way. He was in the service, and it wasn't that long ago. He got deployed in the same wars that they're still fighting.
Yeah.
And that is unique. And his ability to speak directly to them, I think, and carry that message is super important.
What was the thing, Sage? What was the thing he said about his workout routine? How everybody should basically be able to do his workout routine? It's like, yeah, okay. All right. You shouldn't be walking around that building with a big ass pot belly. Even if you're 65 and you're not fighting, it's like, it's just basic standards.
It is. And it also speaks to hey, thanks, babe. Good job.
Let that guy go do work.
Go back to work. I'm sorry. But it speaks to discipline, right? And when you're asking that of your soldiers, when it is life and death, I mean, to me, sometimes it isn't just those words, it's actions. And you have to present yourself as a leader, period. So I don't know. I mean, this isn't directly correlated, but even, think about politicians and the, Chris Christie's of the world, who people, and Pritzker in Illinois, right? And people crush them. And it isn't that they aren't smart and can't lead, but it shows a lack of discipline and caring and concern when you're the leader and you're expecting everybody else to do things to the best of their abilities, and you're not, like, you're choosing not to. So I just love it. And I also saw online a lot of women, female soldiers, who are like, yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. Because they know the importance of it when, as Hegseth said, it truly is life and death. So I love it. Old school, like, cut the crap and let's get back to the military that we've all, grown to be so proud of our whole lives. And it's just changed over the last decade.
And by the way, I mentioned this on my show this morning, but, the New York Police Department, when they went woke and then the the administration basically went against the police and there was the defund the police and all that stuff, they had a huge amount of old school New York City cops who went into early retirement and left. And many of them came down to Florida, where DeSantis gave them bonuses if they would come down here. So in Florida, we got stronger policing. New York policing, they lost all of these old school guys. And then what happened? Then, because the administration wasn't backing the NYPD, they literally lowered their standards. They lowered all of their fitness and mental health standards. So now you get a group of people who physically are less fit. I'm pretty sure you have to chase bad guys, and who mentally are not even as fit. What do you think will happen over time with all of that? So it's a perfect parable for what would happen to the military.
Pride. Take pride in yourself and pride in how you are wearing that uniform. Like, that mattered to me. And last thing, I mean, you saw my dad. Again, he's almost 80 years old. He has had, he has cancer. He's had neck surgeries. He's had shoulder replacements and hip replacements and both knee replacements. And he could have.
He's got some moves on the dance floor still. I saw a little.
Listen, it's been almost a month. I think he's still sore from that one evening. But there's something about he can also still fit in his Letterman's jacket that he last wore in 1970, because there is something about pride when you are a soldier, especially if you're an officer, like, you've got to lead by example. So I love it. And sure, there are things, the way Pete Hegseth presented it the other day. Hey, who's in charge? Who's the commander in chief? We have many times questioned how Donald Trump has said things too, but is the message loud and clear? Hell yeah. I absolutely love it. Okay, on that note.
Yeah. How are you going to transition this one? Okay.
Well, how do you transition from Pete Hegseth to Bad Bunny? Like,
I think you got a little Sunny Hostin for us, giving us the reverse opinion first, don't you?
Oh, should I give her some of our airtime? Because
you want to drop the Sunny?
Fine, Sunny, go.
I'm actually really befuddled by why he did that. The optics were terrible, meaning all of our top military brass are all in one place, and we spent $6 million to get them there. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. It also didn't make a lot of sense to me that he was saying that he was going to toughen physical standards and review the anti-hazing policy by sort of implementing a hazing policy. And then also he said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
They was referring to Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, it was really a bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Charles Brown Jr., who is African-American. Yeah. He fired the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. I don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of firing these people, having all these people meet together, and then denigrating them.
I didn't even see you on the other side, but we're both doing something like this.
I'm out of it. Maybe that's why I accidentally forgot.
Yeah.
Roll the tape for Sunny Hostin. Like, first of all, it cracks me up that she is so freaking clueless about every aspect of this message that she has to sit there and read.
Yeah.
She has absolutely no clue what she's talking about and no context whatsoever. And of course, ignoring the main point that these are the men and women who are in charge of protecting this country. And if you're too fat to go do that, you don't qualify for this job. And instead, she's worried about fat shaming. I can't. And by the way, Hegseth isn't firing anybody who isn't actually deserving of it based on the maybe sometimes the inability to do their job properly. So this is why I can't with her or any of them on that set.
No, I know.
It's hard to make a joke in the middle of it. No.
So Joy, who had that like prepackaged joke, and she knew it wasn't funny as it was coming out of her mouth. That was one part. But what Sunny started with was the optics of this were terrible. And it's like, what planet are you on? Maybe we obviously have a disagreement with her on wokeness and whatever, but the optics of it were incredible. I think objectively, Pete's up there, big American flag behind him. He looks good. Suit looks good. He's communicating properly, as we just laid out. While she's saying the optics look horrible, they flash to the video of everybody in the audience. They're sitting up straight. They're all wearing their military uniforms. They're paying it. How is the optics of that terrible? The optics are like, oh, someone's in charge and telling us what to do? Like,
They looked sharp. And last thing I'll say about this, because it made me think about, my dad and how important it was for him to teach us how to stand tall, how to sit tall, how to have manners when we eat. Did you know that? Did I tell you every Saturday morning we used to have a room inspection? All three kids, and he'd knock on the door twice, just like when he was having
wow.
those room inspections. And every infraction was 10 push-ups. And I mean, an infraction could be the corners of our bed not being tucked in properly, or when he opened the drawer, is everything folded neatly in the socks? But like that stuff
Wow.
matters. And he had us in really good shape by doing tons of push-ups for our infractions at a young age. The visual aspect of it really does matter. I'm glad you caught that cutaway. That was so cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sitting there, and they are proud. By the way, nobody's getting rich in the military. These people are doing it to defend our country, defend our right to do this, and Sonny Hostin's right to be an idiot. And I think we're doing a much better job as of yesterday.
Right. And I'll just say one other thing on this, which is, she mentions, okay, this woman, the first female, whatever, got fired for this.
Yeah.
And one of these guys happened to be black and all that stuff. And it's like, Sonny, here's what I would recommend. If you do a little research on these people and you find out they were totally unjustly fired, like they had all their reviews were perfect, and it turns out that she was fired because she was a woman or he was fired because he's black, then bring that to the American people. But it's not enough to be like, they fired a woman and a black guy, thus, obviously, this is him ushering in his white male, Nazi army. Like, come on, lady.
Oh, that was a nice word, lady. It's actually not.
I know.
I think she's female, but we'll just leave it at that.
I'm trying.
Well, maybe that's a better transition. See, it worked out from Sonny Hostin to Bad Bunny, because there's some clarity there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're a huge sports fan. When you heard that Bad Bunny was named to be the halftime performer for the 2026 Super Bowl in San Francisco, which is actually perfect, what did you say? What was your thought?
Now, I am a big sports fan. Not a huge, I don't know, what do we call Big Bunny? What kind of music is Big Bunny?
Bad Bunny, Dave.
Bad. Well, there you go. Big Bunny. I said Big Bunny, Bad Bunny. The first thing that I heard about Bad Bunny, Big Bunny, whatever. And at first I thought it was Psycho Bunny, which is just like a clothing store in a mall. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I honestly thought that. I was like, oh, Psycho Bunny, it must be the clothing store of the guy who's a rapper. I don't know. Like, this is not my thing. Subsequently, though, I've learned a bit about this big bad Psycho Bunny, and it doesn't seem like the type of thing maybe that should be at the halftime show. We should be trying to find. You and I, like we've talked about, like, I'm not a prude. Like, you can push the limits in some degree. There can be a wardrobe malfunction. You can do some kind of edgier stuff. There was a time when they'd have Michael Jackson and that was too edgy for people. So you're always going to upset somebody.
Yes.
But I did watch some of the rather demonic videos, and they're pretty freaking, like, I wouldn't want my kids at that concert.
No.
So why are we doing this for the Super Bowl?
Do you know that my 23-year-old daughter, Quinn, who, again, they all love them some Dave Rubin.
Yeah.
She's like, Mom, I actually stopped listening to Bad Bunny's music because of the lyrics and because of the demonic performances that he puts on. He doesn't even try to hide it. So I thought that was fascinating. And she's like, Mom, where have you been? Like, I stopped doing this a long time ago. And then she went through her list of many other people in Hollywood who are doing the same things in their performances, including, in her opinion, and many others, Taylor Swift, and some of the things that are very suggestive on those stages. But let's remember the demographic of the Super Bowl, which is what? Probably, I mean, it's a wide age gap, like 8 to 54 men, whatever. But this is an American sport. This is not football, soccer.
Right.
So we have a man who is Hispanic. He's Puerto Rican. He is anti-ICE. He's anti-Trump. He says, I will never perform again in North America because of their immigration policies. He dresses in drag as a woman, like, there is nothing that anyone in that demographic can identify with their choice.
Let me ask you this. But first off, I assume we're going to both agree that he probably is not the best choice for this for all the reasons you just laid out. Who do you think, like, who would be like the types of bands that they could have at this point? Because everyone's always going to complain about something. He does seem to be a particularly unique version of like this twisted whatever.
Unnecessarily.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's the other thing I want to ask you about. But first, let's try to come up with like 4 or 5 musicians that actually most people would agree on. Like, who's left in Americana anymore?
well,
Like
I think
Fleetwood Mac, that would be pretty cool, but I don't know.
people
Think,
for
yeah,
our age, right?
yeah,
I mean, I look at Morgan Wallen and Jelly
Morgan
Roll,
Wallen.
people like that. And listen, who was it? Oh, even at the LA Super Bowl a couple of years ago, remember it was that big compilation of all the '90s hip hop artists, and it was
Yeah, 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 yeah,
whoever. Like that was it. Dr. Dre? Yeah, I mean
yeah. Yeah.
that was so much fun. Are there some inappropriate things in there? Yeah. Was it inappropriate when Beyonce gets up there and does her things at
Well,
times? Yeah.
that's the point.
Yes, and so to me, I love the Morgan Wallen Jelly Roll type stuff because they also have really true grit stories, especially Jelly Roll and Americana and overcoming things and representing and loving our country for our biggest sporting event annually, right? Is the Super Bowl. So to me, there's a million other options, and the fact that they intentionally chose this person is concerning. Is it the end of the world? No. Are people still going to watch to an extent? Yes, but there really are a ton of people who are saying maybe let's boycott. Rock Nation, they're the ones that make this selection every year. And I guess it's the NFL's deal with Rock Nation, who is led by Jay-Z. I mean, there's a lot of dot connecting to do where this shouldn't be that shocking to so many of us. And many people take it even deeper, like, well, this is, politically motivated. And so when everybody was so up in arms about what happened with Charlie Kirk and America, and the Christianity and that draw that so many people are feeling right now towards God and that revival, that this is like, okay.
Oh,
Sure,
what a
balance.
horribly cynical, what a terrible
Yeah,
way of looking
I've
at it.
heard it
Well,
talk that.
you already answered my first question, which is who is the they in that? Like, who actually makes these decisions? Because I wasn't sure if it was the NFL or it was, I guess, is it ABC, ESPN? That's what network
I
is it
don't know
on
who has
even?
the
Or is it
Super Bowl
Fox now? Or
this
I don't even
year.
know where the Super Bowl
Usually
is.
between Fox, NBC, CBS. ABC comes in, I think, in 2028. But at the end of the day, it's a joint decision, I'm sure,
Right.
between the league and
Right.
Nation.
Right. So you have a league, you have Rock Nation, which, as you're saying, has something to do with Jay-Z. You have the network. So let's just say there's like a whole bunch of big corporate structure that's going through this. It just seems hard for me to believe that people got on a call to discuss what they were going to do. And they were like, relative to where America's at right now and everything that's going on here, that this would be the best choice. That somehow they came to that consensus. Because even though it would be tough to come up with that list of 10 that everybody could get, like, give me Journey, that would be fine. I know I'm like a little outlier on this, but like, there's ways to do things that are not offensive that could still be fun and still whatever. I know there's always going to be something offensive one way or another. You're
Sure.
right. You bring out Beyonce, she's going to pull her dress down or blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But this seems like it's as if you were trying to poke the bear and
Yeah.
let's poke. But to
Which
connect
is
it,
why
man, if you're right about like the sort of pushback to the Charlie thing, which you're probably onto something, what a cynical.
it is.
Ugh.
It's so dark, and I hate to go there, but when they make a decision that's so egregious like this, you have to go, okay, why? Now, one reason that it isn't quite as cynical is because of how they're trying to globalize the sport. There was a game last week in Dublin. They started the season in Brazil this year, and apparently their goal is to play one game per week outside of the United States. And so that would mean 17 games in different countries, 7 every single week, 17 different weeks in the NFL season. And so is this maybe a good step in the effort to completely globalize the National Football League? Sure. But his songs, Dave, his songs are like 99% in Spanish, no English. So is that what's going to really sell for an American football audience? Because not that much of the world cares about American football. The entire world cares about soccer, right?
Right.
Every country except us for the most part. But the reverse is not the case. So that's where maybe I should land with it, is the effort to globalize and continue to diversify. But if you look back over just the last decade of the artists that they chose, this is so far off the reservation that you've got to go deeper and ask yourself why.
It really is just a shame that what has happened to pop culture in general, that there aren't, if you and I are sitting here like, all right, well, if it's not him, like we should be able to rifle off 5 to 10 great bands that are cool and hot right now that fully would make sense. Not that everyone would love the exact genre, but it would like just make sense on a day when everyone in America is sitting together, eating wings, drinking beer, that it would just be obvious. And we just don't. So in the back of the day where it would have been Michael Jackson, we just don't have it anymore. And that's more that's more of a symptom of our culture that doesn't make a lot of great art anymore. So we're left with big bad Psycho
That's
Bunny.
true. And Prince, remember down here in Miami,
Yeah,
whatever it was, he was singing Purple Rain when it's raining here.
Yeah.
Like, and he was a true musician. Played, sang, all the above. And yeah, the times have changed, but I just don't, and maybe at the end of the day, there's big hoopla about this right now. And it is, I don't think it's going to die down as quickly as the NFL would like, but it's brilliant to make the announcement now, as they usually do. Make it now. So let's say October, November, December, January, that 4 months for people to calm down. And then by the time it gets here, people might still be annoyed, but they will have kind of forgotten and moved on, and they're still going to watch anyway. And usually, guess what? They always win.
You know what? Big Psycho Bunny can be deported by then. So anything can happen.
Bad Psycho Bunny.
All right, let's shift over to one other interesting thing that happened this week. You're right. It never stops the. What do you got? What do you got? What's going on there?
Espresso, but then I have cream in it with cinnamon and honey, and I can't leave the foam.
How bougie, Sage Steele. I did want to talk about this Portland situation because, we've talked a lot about like just the decay of our cities, and then nobody seems to do anything in the Democrat-run cities. And then big bad Donald Trump sends in some troops to clean up the cities. And then, of course, gets called a racist for it and everything else. So this is from NBC News. Oregon sues Trump administration over deployment of National Guard troops to Portland. There have been so many videos for basically 8 to 10 years coming out of Portland of homeless encampments that look like they're right out of I Am Legend or just pick your zombie movie, Walking Dead, whatever. The amount of drugs that are on the streets, the amount of crime. The former mayor of Portland, what was that guy's name? The former mayor of Portland, who literally had to move. He was a far lefty lunatic, but he wasn't even far left enough for them. So they were attacking him at his condo. He had to move out of his own condo. What was his name again? No, not current mayor. Ted Wheeler, thank you. It's like the place, the federal courthouse has been attacked over and over and almost burned down by Antifa several times. They seem to do nothing about this. They turned the show Portlandia. I don't know if you ever watched the show Portlandia, but they basically turned it into a documentary. I mean, it's a comedy about how ridiculous Portland is. Like Portland, like the tagline was "Keep Portland Weird," but it went from weird to basically Psycho Bunny. And now Trump's cleaning it up, and Oregon's going to sue the administration for it.
To think about being in that meeting where people are discussing,
right.
Like, what do we do? We don't like Trump. Fine, let's sue him. Yeah, that's the thing to do. Again, there's places like Portland, and it's one of the places I've actually never been with zero desire to go, where there's enough people who think like that I say, whatever, let it. Like, I don't care, and maybe that's inhumane of me. Like, I don't know, but. Same thing in Chicago, right? Where you've got the governor and the mayor who are complaining that the commander-in-chief actually has been paying attention enough to care enough to come into your city and try to help for the residents who live there, since you are choosing not to. I'm still blown away by it, because what these politicians, people are making the decision to sue, are saying to their residents is that our egos matter much more than your well-being. And it's very, very clear that they're doing it. I don't understand how people even decide to live there anymore based on, first and foremost, the lack of safety. It's a mess. Do you let your kids, go anywhere after dusk there? Like you literally cannot.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, decline is a choice. We're going to show a Ron DeSantis video in just a second, because obviously we don't put up with this crap here in Florida. But that's his line that I always quote, because it is a choice. We've chosen not to do it here in Florida, and these cities have chosen to decline. But what you said a moment ago, I think, is super interesting. For the people that don't live in these cities, what is our like moral and ethical obligation to places we don't live as Americans, right? So I care about Americans. I care about the guy in Portland who's a normal, decent human being who now has to be subjected to the homeless encampments and all of those things. But in another way, the beauty of states' rights and everything is that you kind of don't have to care. And it's a little weird because in some sense, we could all just be like totally callous, I suppose, and just, all right, screw them. New York, well, it's sort of how I feel about New York right now. They're about to go down the communist road. Enough of us have talked about it. We've exposed these bad ideas, but congratulations, you guys are doing it. So be it. Now, you don't want the average person. Let's say the guy wins, he'll end up getting, let's say roughly half the vote, a little bit more, something like that. That means that a lot of people voted against him and they don't deserve it other than they're there and they're part of it. And then it's on you as a citizen to have to decide if you want to live there or not.
Yes. Well, I have a brother who lives in Los Angeles, and I happen to be talking to my actual friend right now who fled Los Angeles. And granted, your socioeconomic status might be different from many people there and in Portland, whatever, fine. We all have choices.
Everyone has a choice. The money thing is not, trust me,
Not an excuse.
One of the things, I think it's just worth saying, like one of the things is when you end up having a little bit of money, yes, does it make life easier in a lot of ways? Yes, it also complicates a zillion other things and having to move businesses and all those things. But yes, all right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, you made a choice. It was very difficult for you. Personal level, you had a wonderful lifestyle, incredible friends. You'd been there forever. I mean, your career really took off when you were there. I'm not saying it's easy. My brother, who is single and lives in Los Angeles, he fell in love with that city, and now he's watched its decline. He's right in the middle of it in LA. And I'm saying to him, at this point, I don't even feel bad for you. We want you here. My parents are we're in Florida. I mean, we want you here, but if you're going to continue to subject yourself to this, because no matter how you vote, it seems like it doesn't matter there, then that's kind of on you. Now, from afar, do we need to not care? No, I do care, but I have to care more. I am choosing to care more about other things that directly affect me that I feel like I can help. Because if you are watching our city in decline, and then you're mad,
right.
when someone tries to come help you, I wonder if you're okay upstairs. What is that?
Well, that's when you put ideology above truth, that's what happens, right? So if your ideology precludes you from thinking that Trump can do anything good, then if Trump comes in and does the cleanup job that you should have done yourself, if you're Brandon Johnson in Chicago or you're the mayor of Portland or the governor of Oregon right now, you're gonna basically be more than happy to have your state or city destroyed as long as Trump doesn't get credit for cleaning it up. However, Sage Steele and Dave Rubin live in a place called Florida. It is the freest, safest state in the union and the freest, safest country on earth. And here's what's going on in Florida.
The thing I'm going to say is this. Florida's not Portland. If you think you can go and launch attacks against ICE agents in this state, you got another thing coming. We will hold you accountable very swiftly and very severely. The people that are working for ICE are being charged with enforcing the laws of the United States of America. We have a process where if you don't like those laws, you can elect people that will try to change those. But what you don't do is take the matters into your own hands and launch attacks against people that are simply doing their job. And I was here for the 4 years when the border was left open, laws weren't being enforced. They never changed the law. They never actually delivered. They wanted an amnesty, but they never did it in law. It was a de facto amnesty because they knew if they campaigned on that, they would lose even worse. And so the American people have spoken. They want the border enforced, and they want interior enforcement of the laws of this land. And that's what the men and women who work for DHS are doing with our support. It's an important mission, but it's a mission that flows from the laws that are in place in this country and the election results that occurred in November of 2024.
Yeah. Decline is a choice. We did not choose it here. He does not reinvent the wheel. It's sort of like watching Scott Jennings on CNN, crazy people screaming on one side, and then a guy coming in and being like, boys have penises, girls have vaginas. It's the same. It's just the same. It's just the same thing. Like, we have chosen here that we will abide by the law. We have decided here that as a state, if you are illegal and local law enforcement finds you, we will work with ICE to certainly get you out of the state and then eventually get you out of the country. But we created Alligator Alcatraz as a processing place for that. Like, all of this can be fixed. And there's just a certain set of people that would prefer to drag us all to the pit of hell instead.
And, first of all, I smile when I watch and listen to Ron DeSantis because it goes back to the beginning of this show and every show we've done. Just common sense, please. I'm not hearing anyone, and there are certainly lefties who live here in the free state of Florida. They don't say much because they came here for a reason. They got shit in other places. And so they're not gonna be like, yes, DeSantis, but they're gonna stay quiet. I have a feeling that in those other cities, if Brandon Johnson or JB Pritzker or whoever the heck's in charge in Portland or in New York City, wherever, these blue cities that are being destroyed, if one of the Democratic leadership in those cities said that, I bet their people would cheer. I bet they'd be fine.
Right.
It's just coming from the wrong person. That's all it is, which goes back to ego. And these people actually don't care about their residents.
You'll love this story. So I go with Phoenix, my producer, who obviously. This is maybe 2 years ago, we go to LA for some trip or something, and it was really hot out, and I didn't have any short sleeve shirts. So we go to the Century City Mall, which is a beautiful, beautiful outdoor mall in LA. It's a gorgeous mall, very high end. And we got there a little bit early. Most of the stores were opening at about 11. We got there at like 10:50 or something. And I just walk over to Lululemon and I open up the door. And then the girl at the front's like, "Oh, we're not open yet. You can't come in." And Phoenix jokingly said to me, he's like, "Dave, you could just take the shirt. We're in LA. You can just take the shirt and walk out. You don't even have to pay. Like, the door shouldn't be open." And that really is the truth. I would have been able to walk. No one would have stopped me. I could have just walked in. I need that blue tank top in medium, grabbed it. And nobody was there's no security guard. And even if there was, he's not going to get involved. Nobody outside the store they'll watch you steal things or do anything. But think about the difference of Florida. In Florida, if you dared to do that, not only would most likely the employee tackle you to the ground, maybe shoot you, if somebody saw you running out of a store having stolen stuff, there's a good chance someone is going to have concealed carry and shoot you, or somebody else will get involved. So my point in that is that it's not just the political people that are the problem. When you basically take responsibility away from people, everything gets worse. Wow. So when people live in a place that they're like, "Oh, you're not allowed to steal stuff. You can't steal $800 worth of stuff from Best Buy." Well, then you start self-policing and people start behaving a little bit better. And then you know what? They start littering a little bit less too. Like, it actually creates the conditions for responsibility. And that's why I think, like you, I will be fighting for this place with my last breath.
Do you actually think as a white man you could get away with that in Los Angeles? Just walking and picking up blue shirt? I don't know. I think
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Like, the manager would be like the employee would be like, "There's someone stealing one of those metal tank tops." And then the manager would be like, "Well, what color are they?"
Seriously, they'd be like, "No, white privilege. He doesn't need it. Only the black guy can steal it." Like,
Right.
literally, I could see that conversation happening. Oh my
Could
God.
I run out and be like, "I'm gay. Doesn't that get me a shirt?"
They wouldn't believe you. You got to have your husband with you. I don't know.
I think they assume most people that shop there are gay. The guys.
I was going to say, wait.
The guy, no, not the chicks. Not the chicks. It's a very, but I feel like the guys, I don't know.
That's so true. But I don't know. It goes back kind of to my first topic too. Just like when you have some pride in where you live and where you work, and it starts at the top, but it really is a trickle down effect, and people act differently, behave differently. And, if they would just listen to us friends here, the world would be such a better place. It's just so simple.
Sage, as always, I've enjoyed doing the program with you. I've enjoyed doing the program without Russell. We don't know what happened to him. He tried to call in at one point. We've had to give up. We don't know what will come of him.
Guess what? This is 2 weeks in a row of him quitting on us. So I wonder, are we still actual friends with him?
All I know is I'm getting a lot of texts from Dr. Drew. "I want to be a regular. I want to be a regular." Roseanne Barr, "I want to be a regular. I want to be a regular." The list goes on and on. But more importantly than that, Sage, it's 5:00 somewhere. As a matter of fact, it's almost 5:00 in Florida right now where you are. You have a new husband, barely married 1 month. You're holding a beautiful bottle of tequila. You live on the water. It's a gorgeous day. Get cracking, sister.
I have permission. Love you.